Hello everybody, welcome back to Screenstars. I'm here today to bring you my review for the 2023 action-adventure film Supercell. The film is co-written and directed by Herbert James Winterstern, and it stars Daniel Diemer, Skeet Ulrich, Anne Hesh, and Alec Baldwin. Now the film tells the story of William, a teenage boy who is the son of a legendary storm chaser called Bill Brodie. His son, William Brodie, lost his father a few years previously in a really bad storm, a tornado sort of thing, but he had a legendary reputation, and his son wants to follow in his father's footsteps. So he finds his research, and he heads off to meet up with Roy, played by Skeet Ulrich, who was his father's kind of, partner back in the days. When they were storm chasing. However, his mother, played by Anne Hesh, is not happy about this and gives chase, trying to stop her son from following in his father's footsteps. Right, what are my thoughts on Supercell? Well, this film, on the surface of it, for example, if you watch the trailer for this, and the trailer actually I think is quite good. That's what got me interested in this film. This film is obviously, in many ways, very similar to Twister. I don't want to say a rip-off of Twister, because I don't necessarily think it is like a cheap, rip-off of a film like Twister. In actual fact, this film tips its hat to Twister, because there's a moment at the beginning of the film when the teenage boy, William's kind of doing like a Google search, and I think he's searching for his dad, Bill Brodie, to learn more about him. And while he's searching on Google, when he types in Bill, the name Bill Paxton comes up. Obviously, a nice little tip of the hat to Twister. Also, as well, this film has almost a Spielberg, Robert Zemeckis feel to the film. It's got this, music going on throughout it. It feels like a Spielberg film or a Robert Zemeckis film from the 90s or something. It's a non-threatening type film in that sense, but it's got this real, vibe about it, feel about it, light feel about it. That it's actually quite charming in a lot of ways, because it does kind of feel quite nostalgic when you're watching it. It does actually have a decent amount going for it, this film. I think I have seen some reviews for this, and I think they are a little bit overly harsh. Now, I'm not saying this is a fabulous film or anything. It does have its flaws, and it is one of those films, unfortunately, where you could argue the trailer is actually better than the film you're going to watch, because they kind of pack all the action into the trailer. This film, because it's not got a massive budget behind it, it's kind of limited as to what it can show you in regards to Mother Nature and these tornadoes and things like that. But it shows enough for you to kind of get what's going on. And there are moments in this film where I think it is, quite thrilling and exciting. And you can feel a real tangible threat, from being in this storm and all this kind of these storms that they're chasing. But there are also moments in this film where it drags, you know what I mean? And I think they kind of missed a trick a little bit, because they keep going on about this Bill Brodie, this lad's father, being like this legend, to the point where when he walks into a room, people are applauding this teenage boy for who his father was and things like that. But we don't really get that sense. We only kind of meet his father briefly at the beginning of the film. It kind of goes back in the past sort of thing, and we meet his father a little bit, and then we kind of see how he dies sort of thing. But it doesn't really establish him as this legendary storm tracer or anything. It's just from what these characters are saying in the film. So it never really feels like that connection is really made or done particularly well. Alec Baldwin, who's in this film, I think is, I don't know what the right term is really to you. I think his performance is absolutely fine. In fact, I quite like his performance here. Maybe he's underutilized in this film. And you're not sure if he's a villain or not in this film. A bit like Twister sort of thing. That film clearly had you know, the Bill Paxton and his team, and then you had the other team, you know, that have got all the modern tech and stuff that he's going up against, and there's no real credible threat other than the storms here in this film. It's a little bit lack of identity in regards to, you know, what resistance this character has in the film. And also as well, he doesn't really get the message across particularly well as to how skilled this teenager is. You know, okay, he finds his father's research and a gadget here and there, and he seems to know what he's talking about a little bit with some of the storms, and I know nothing about storms, so it all sounds legitimate to me. But I don't necessarily think the film does a really good job of, you know, presenting him as this prodigy, you know, following his father's footsteps sort of thing. And the whole storyline of his mom, bless her, played by Anne Hesh, who was sadly passed now away. Now this is, well, I think either a last role or a second to last role before she passed away. Again, she's really underutilized in this film. You know, she's basically just chasing her son down, trying to stop him from putting himself in harm's way. And this tame love interest for the teenage boy William, who goes along with her. So there are aspects of the film where the characters are underutilized or not particularly fleshed out or used properly. And there are moments in this film where you just want it to get back to like the storm chase, you know, doing what they're doing sort of thing. But there's an undeniable charm to this film. You know, there is something about it. And you can't quite put your finger on it, you know what I mean? Is it the light feel about it? Is it this makes me feel nostalgic for films like Twister or even Spielberg and Zemeckis films sort of thing? It's quite clever as how it presents itself, this film. The final product is a little bit underwhelming. I do think it could have been so much better. I think they just needed to maybe, you know, up the action a little bit. Which was difficult, I know, because they probably weren't the biggest budgeted film in the world. But this is one of the biggest production value films I've seen from Saban. I think it's Saban who did this, and normally they do, you know, fairly bog standard, like action films. He's done quite a few Mel Gibson typey stuff over the last 2 or 3 years, and, you know, quite a lot of other stuff as well. So they are fairly polished, their films, and they've got a decent budget about them, but this is probably one of the higher budgeted ones, I would suggest, just from the effects that I saw in this film. So if you like Twister, if you like the type of storm chaser type films, it's got a good cast, this. There's no really annoying characters, even if some of the characters the film doesn't necessarily need. And I think, you know, there are some fun action storm chasing moments in the film as well, so give it a check it out if any of this sounds interesting. For me, I think it's a little bit better than some of the reviews are giving it personally. So thanks for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed this review. I'll be back with more content on the channel very, very soon.